Oh, wasn't expecting anybody just yet. Hello and welcome back to the channel. So before we delve too far into the subject in today's video, I think it's about time I did a little bit of an introduction, because I think I'm so far into the channel and I don't think I've yet to actually mention anything about me personally. But anyway, my name's Lee, I'm 44 years old, and in terms of occupation, I've been in engineering my whole life, currently a quality manager. In terms of hobbies, interests, the main ones has been bikes of late, but generally previous to that, being a complete car fanatic. I mean, I've had so many cars. Generally speaking, it's not rare for me to have a car for less than 6 months and change it for something else. I've probably lost a fortune in cars over the years. But would I change it? I probably wouldn't. Bikes has kind of came out of nowhere. So one day I'm thinking about cars, the next day I'm thinking about bikes, and I'm going around this vicious circle of what is the next car going to be? Do I need another bike? But that's really me in a nutshell. I'm quite a quiet person, quite introvert really. So why did I start a YouTube channel? Probably spent the last couple of years watching a lot of YouTube content, mostly centered around camping, stealth camping. What I've found is I've watched a lot less TV and a lot more YouTube, to the point where I don't really watch any TV whatsoever nowadays. So I think that was one of the reasons why I've decided to take the plunge into the YouTube world. But the other one, and perhaps the bigger factor, was I've always had some form of a creative streak. If you go right back to the days when I was in school, I used to spend a lot of time dabbling in music and graphics back on the Amiga computer, if anybody even knows what that is nowadays. Fast forward a couple of years beyond that, on all the family holidays I used to always take a camera. We'd all sit round with a few beers, watch the video back and have a good laugh watching it. In terms of the last few years, had no sort of release. So by getting on this YouTube journey, it's kind of tickled that creative itch. But that's enough about me and my background. I guess if you've clicked on this video, what you really want to know is, what's it like starting a YouTube video in 2025? Of all the things, the first thing I noticed is it kind of makes you a little bit more antisocial. I mean, I've never been the most social person anyway. But what you tend to do is you work all week, it comes to your weekend, you've got sort of 2 days worth of free time. So within those 2 days, you've got to try and shoot and edit your video, which means you might have friends or events or rides out that you've got to basically cancel so you can spend time making a video. So that is one thing to bear in mind, especially if you're a really social person and you plan on starting YouTube. That's unless your friends don't mind you sticking a camera in the face on everywhere you go every weekend. The other thing to consider is the expense. It's not really the cheapest hobby. I mean, I'm sure there's ways you could do it by buying cheaper equipment. But in the end, I decided to go for the DJI camera, and then later decided to buy a second camera so I could show the front-facing view and the rear-facing view. In terms of cost, it does mount up, so that's another factor you have to consider. Because if you post videos with low-quality audio and low-quality footage, you can't really compete with the other guys that's out there. But you've got to think as well, it's not just the actual recording of the video and then the post-editing of the video. You've also got to think of the content you want to do. So you kind of spend during the week thinking of, what am I going to do this weekend? Where am I going to go? What's the subject going to be? Is there going to be any sort of script? And that all takes time. And then when you combine that process with the actual shooting of the video, with the reviewing of it, then the editing and the uploading with all the tags and descriptions and thumbnails, it's a very time-consuming process. And I think the last point of these little series of the negative sides, if you spend a few days thinking up an idea of what you're going to do the following week, you go out, you shoot your video, and it completely flops. It is a little bit of a hit, one, in your motivation, and two, you kind of question your ability of, can you record a video successfully? Is it your editing skills that's the problem? Is it just you in general? And you kind of question yourself a little bit. You're open to abuse, criticism, whatever it might be. So you have to be mentally prepared for that and not let it affect you on really any sort of level. But having said all of that, there is a load of positives that come with creating a YouTube channel. Me personally, I find it a lot of fun creating the content. I really enjoy going out, shooting the footage, and I actually enjoy editing the footage as well. I know a lot of people don't, but that's where it tickles their creative itch, because when you're out on the road, you get a lot of opportunity to get creative with the video, different camera angles, whatever it might be. But that's an element of it that I'd say is a big bonus. Another big positive is the interaction I've had with you guys. I guess I've been quite lucky so far that majority of feedback has been really positive. I've had some cracking comments. One in particular that kind of sticks in my mind is when they watch my videos, they feel like they're just listening to a mate, and really that's kind of what I've been going for. So feedback like that and any other positive feedback is a real good motivator. And on top of that, via those comments, you then start conversations. So conversations with complete strangers that maybe go on for a couple of messages, and then it moves on to another level where you may not have met them in person, but you consider them an online friend, or maybe a bit more than that. And there's a few people now, since I started this journey, that I would consider friends, even though I've never met them. And potentially I'll meet them one day in the future. Another positive is the new skills you learn. One, in terms of the cameras, the DJI camera that I've got here, I had absolutely no idea about any of the settings. So over time I've learned about shutter speed, ISO levels, resolutions, frame rates, that kind of thing, and how to get the best of different lighting conditions using different kind of lenses. So that's another big advantage of starting a YouTube channel. And before I forget to mention it, whether you look at it as a positive or a negative, if you're starting a channel expecting to make a living out of it, the chances of that happening are next to zero. So make sure your expectations are realistic. Unless YouTube becomes a full-time job where you've got 7 days a week to post maybe 1 or 2 videos a week, and you can dedicate hours and hours to your content, you've got very little chance of making it to the point where it's financially viable, or at least to the point where you can actually quit your normal day job. So in terms of lessons learned so far, I think the number one piece of advice would be don't invest in any cameras or expensive gear too early. Mobile phones nowadays have got pretty good cameras on them. You may need to invest in a cheap microphone, but you can buy them for 20 quid on Amazon. And the final point I want to make in this section is scammers. If you've been on the internet for any length of time, you would have come across it, whether it be a message on your phone from Zimbabwe or whatever it is. When it comes to YouTube, there seems to be a huge influx of spammers where in return for X amount of money, they'll provide some sort of promotion techniques for your channel, and in reality all that means is they're going to spam your channel with a load of bots, and you'll get fake subscribers, fake views, and when YouTube eventually detect that's happening, they'll all be removed, you'll be out of pocket. But overall it's been an absolutely fantastic experience, and one that I would recommend if you're thinking about doing, that you dip your toes into and get a feel for it and see what you think. So if you've liked today's video, as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.